Hello, everyone. Welcome to Health Accelerator. I want to make sure we're live on Facebook. It said we were. I think we're good. Okay, I'm seeing it on to do or didn't forget to do. I just didn't do it correctly. So give me a hashtag live if you are watching live. Give me a hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. Doesn't matter when you get the information, just as long as you are getting the information. But I do think we are live. Let me just hit go live here. And I think we're good. Okay, it says we're live. So that's what we're going to go with. But anyway, welcome to tonight's class. Happy and healthy through the holidays. I think this is a class that it just continues to come up as a source of, hey, we need to talk about this, we need to go over, because there are so many stressful situations throughout the holidays that it really sometimes takes the joy out of it, right? The holidays are supposed to be a joyful time. And I want to make sure you are able to get the most joy out of this holiday season while one, being able to still make goals, but two, being able to enjoy time with family without stressing out. Right? Put a yes if you have ever entered the holiday season and just been completely overwhelmed, right? I know that's a yes for me. And only imagine it's a yes for many others out there, but it doesn't have to be that way. So tonight we're going to talk about a lot of strategies that are more on the what we think side, right? Because we have our three pillars: the what we eat, what we think, and what we do, right? So last week in Thriving Through the Holidays, we really talked about having a plan as you go into situations, right? Having a plan as you go into all of those parties and the dinners and all of that good stuff, right? But it's really important, just as the what you eat, that the what you think during the holiday season, really at all times, right? What we eat, what we think, and what we do, but the what we think is really important to maintain. And it's easy to let that go. And full transparency, I looked back at my scripting notebook today and I said, oh my goodness, I haven't scripted in about a week. And it's because I have been overloaded with things going on. That's just the reality, right? I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. However, what's important is, hey, I have the strategies. I know the tools. I know what I need to do. And so I'm just simply going to course correct, right? The what I eat and what I do has been totally on point. And even the what I think, from a sense of I've had a positive attitude and I've been able to get through things, but I have felt a little bit more stressed than normal, right? And why is that? It's because the what I think has not been 100% on point, and that's okay, right? No one is perfect. It happens. But what's important is that you recognize it and you course correct. And you course correct to the tools that you have. So, we're going to talk a lot tonight about scripting. And this may be a new concept to a lot of people. You've probably heard the term affirmations, manifestation. It's a little bit of all of that. But what scripting really does, scripting gets down into the nitty gritty and it creates the story of your goals as if they've already happened, so that you start getting into the what you think space of where you want to be. Okay. And so it's really important that you focus on what you want to happen as if it's already happened and it's already yours. And I'm going to give you some examples and we're going to do a little bit of practice, because I know if I have let that slide, chances are one or two or you have let it slide too. And that's okay. Again, like I said, sometimes that's the easiest thing, or the first thing, not the easiest thing, but the first thing we kind of let slip because we think, oh, well, the what we eat and the what we do, I'm good. But then you start to have that little bit creep in. Okay. So as we talk about that, okay, the what we think, it's just as important on the what we think side to have the opt in, right? Our 7-step signature system, our opt in, our education. Again, when we know better, we do better, right? And so that's why we have this content that comes here and this practice and these stories, because when we know better, we do better. Okay. The education. Then we have accountability, tracking, behavior modification, track all wins, and give back. So that's our 7-step signature system. So how does that apply to the what we think? All right. So I really want to dive into scripting, and I want to illustrate how scripting is so powerful with a few stories. So the first one I want to talk about is how, around a while, you've heard me say this, and you'll, as you're around more and more, you'll hear me say this, but it is 1,000% true. When I got started on my journey, I did not like green vegetables. I wasn't going to eat them. It was just not something that I meant, right? Well, what we eat is very important, right? And we know that green vegetables, high in fiber, lower in carbohydrates. So our net carbs are going to be lower. That factors right into the formula, right? So I just said, you know what? I've got to eat these green vegetables because I know that's how I'm going to hit my goal, is to have lots of protein and focus on the green vegetables, right? And so how was I going to do that? One, I made the decision. I just opted in and I said, I've just got to do it, whether I like it or not. However, from the back end too, in the scripting side, okay? And what I said was, I do like green vegetables. I love the way I feel when I eat green vegetables. And folks, I love green vegetables. I started to crave green vegetables. Because what happens? We crave what we eat. So the more we eat something, so I opted in and I modified my behavior and said, hey, it's got to happen, right? But then I was also scripting that I do like them and I love the way that I feel when I eat them. And so it made it less aversive because my subconscious was saying, hey, you know what? You really do like these. You love the way you feel when you eat them. So you continue to eat them. Behavior that receives attention is behavior that's repeated, right? And then I'm tracking. Okay, so I'm tracking that I'm writing down these green vegetables. And then, oh my goodness, the scale's going down. I'm feeling better. I'm looking better. I have more energy. And guess what? That's tracking the wins, right? I look good. I feel good. I'm eating good. And then again, behavior that receives attention is behavior that's repeated. And now eating green vegetables is a habit, right? Same thing with the protein, right? I had to rewire my brain to figure out, hey, 20 to 30 grams of protein. Where is that coming from, right? And that 20 to 30 gram protein came my lean proteins, right? And so how did I get there? And how did I start to create the habit of, hey, first thing I think about is, where's my protein source coming from? I just did that today. I went to the gym earlier and I said, okay, I've got to eat lunch after. And again, I didn't plan ahead like I typically do. And so I said, okay, where's my source of protein coming from? And I was like, you know what? We're just going to eat some tuna. Right. And so I made enough tuna to have 2 meals out of that after I had my breakfast. And so there we go. I had my 20 to 30 grams of protein right away. Right. It was not hard to do because that's my habit now. Was that my habit when I first started? No, absolutely not. It was, man, are we ordering pizza tonight, tomorrow night, both nights? What are we doing? Right. And so that's where I really started to create that habit. Okay. And I was just talking to somebody yesterday. I was at the gym keeping score at the powerlifting meet that they had yesterday. And it was so much fun to be a spectator and scorekeeper rather than competing, because I was able to watch the mindset of the lifters and the different habits that each one had to make sure they were getting their lifts, right? And also just the pure opt-in. Like, well, this is what I'm going to get. I have no choice but to get this, right? And so it was just there, the confidence that came with that. But that confidence comes from practice, right? Repetition, opting in. Okay. And so I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. They were talking about pizza. And my initial reaction was, "Oh, yeah, I don't really like pizza all that much." And they just kind of looked at me and I was like, "Well, I don't like the way it makes me feel when I eat it, so I don't really eat it very often." I might, but I always try to have something green with it. I'll always eat a salad with it because I don't like the way it makes me feel when I do eat it. And so it's interesting how I look back at when I first started my health accelerator journey, fast forward to now, and that everyday conversation is, yeah, I don't really care for pizza, but I appreciate it, And so that's how you start to really feel like that scripting is taking place because you are retraining your subconscious mind to go along with the behaviors that you need to modify. Therefore, you're creating the new habits. And I will never forget um, the scripting. This is an example of my dad's scripting journey, right? So, and he's on, I'm sure he doesn't mind me sharing this, but he would script his goal weight, right? Which was in the 100s. And so he's scripting his goal weight and he's scripting it as if he's already there. I did the same thing. I would say, I weigh, and then my goal weight, right? And so he's scripting that over and over and over. And in his food log, he starts to see that the number where he does his daily weigh-in starts to start with a 1. And I remember the story he's telling me that Catherine asked him, "Well, what is this?" And she just started laughing because it's there. That's when you know you have opted in. You are there in your mind because you're writing it as if it's already happened. It's like, that's where we are. And it was just a mistake, but it wasn't a mistake because that's what his subconscious mind was saying. Right. And so you do this enough times, you do it over and over and over, and your subconscious is going to gravitate you toward the decisions that you need to make in order to make whatever it is that you want to happen. And another story I'll share, and I've shared this before as well, but again, there's a lot of new faces. And so what's happened, I was interviewed on a podcast back in, I believe it was 2021 or 2022. And I remember the podcast host asking me, "Hey, when you got to your goal weight, did you have a hard time because you didn't recognize yourself after losing 113 pounds?" And I said, "Well, no, because I had been living as that person that was 113 pounds lighter the entire time because I was scripting it." And so when I got there, it was just easy to say, "Well, yeah, that's what it is. That's what I've been working for." And yes, it was celebrating that huge win because that's a huge accomplishment, but it was like, okay, well, this is just me. Right. And so I didn't have that identity crisis that a lot of people get when they lose a bunch of weight without getting the what they think dialed in during the process. Because you can lose a ton of weight just by following a specific eating plan or whatever. But if you don't dial in the what you think, that's when your subconscious starts to go a little crazy. Maybe you've heard of imposter syndrome. Maybe you feel like you don't belong there, when we all know you absolutely do. You've heard of just that fear of going backwards, right? That fear of regressing, right? But when you have that what you think dialed in, you don't have to have that fear because you're living as if you've already hit whatever goals you're wanting to hit. And then imagine when you reach those goals, you're going to set new goals, right? And it's not as scary because once you hit those goals, you're like, well, yeah, of course I did, because that's who I am. So you change that mindset, you change the way you think, you change that what you think, which in turn changes the what you do and the what you eat, right? So you have become this new version of yourself, not new and improved, just a new version. You've always been that person, but it's just allowing you to tap into being who you're wanting to be, right? And reaching those goals. All right. So how do we script, right? That's the big thing. I'm sitting here talking about scripting and saying, hey, like these are the things, these are real life examples. I scripted my way to a world championship just a little bit ago, a month ago. Well, like 5 weeks ago, right? I was out in Vegas and I scripted my way to a world championship out there, 3 world championships actually. And I remember writing and scripting, I win 3 gold medals at the WABDL World Championships in Las Vegas and the date. I was very specific, right? Easily and effortlessly. And guess what? I won first place easily and effortlessly, right? And so that's how you're able to really script the things into existence, script the things that you want to see happen, right? I know when I start to get a little overwhelmed, I just go ahead and I send love ahead of a situation to dissolve the discord. And maybe I've got a stressful situation coming up, right? Where I'm like, man, I'm really kind of dreading having to make this phone call or having to do X, Y, and Z, right? But about it takes the anxiety out of the situation, right? Because I know, hey, I'm scripting about it. Here's the worst that can happen is X, Y, and Z, and it's okay if it does. I've made peace with it, but I'm scripting for this positive outcome. And I know that this positive outcome is going to happen. And so it also makes things a little less intimidating, right? When you can start scripting and taking control of your goals and where you want to be, that's how you know you're really getting to where you want to be, right? You take control. And so then you start to realize, okay, hey, I've opted in. I've got the education because I know better. So I'm doing better. I'm holding myself accountable, right? I'm looking at my scripting. I'm looking at my goals and I'm seeing, hey, what's the disconnect? Where do I maybe need to script a little more? Where do I need to focus more energy on, right? And you're tracking, you're doing all of the things, right? You're tracking all the wins, and that just allows you to stay in a more positive frame of mind, which is going to increase that mental clarity. That's going to allow you to it's going to allow you to say no, thank you. And you see where I'm going with this, right? You go to those holiday parties and you didn't plan for that to be one of the holiday parties where maybe you let loose a little bit, right? And so you're able to say no, thank you very easily. All right. And these are the things that when it just becomes a part of you, it becomes your identity, right? I was at the holiday market in downtown of the town I live in last night. It's this huge event every year. And I went with one of my friends and we met up with some other friends and we're just walking and enjoying the music, enjoying all the vendors on the street. It was beautiful weather. And one of the people with us was like, hey, do you want to go get a drink? And I was like, oh, no, thanks. And it was not to say no thank you to that. It was just a, hey, that's just what it is, right? That wasn't something I planned on. I hadn't even planned on going to the market. And so I was able to say no thank you to certain things there, right? So that's where that scripting really empowers you to make better choices. Okay, so now how do we script? All right. You start off you get a notebook that you absolutely love and you want to look at every day. Here's one of my old ones right here, right? And I filled this one up. You can see all the way through. It's completely filled with scripting. And you can also see some days are longer than others, right? So you have this day I wrote a little bit longer, this day I didn't write quite as much. And that's the beautiful thing. This one's all the way back to 2017, right? And it's interesting because this is actually, yeah, this is right after I hit my goal weight. So I must have finished one, and I think it was August 3rd that I hit my goal weight. And this is August 27th is when this one started. And so you can see we're there, right? And it's really important when you're doing your scripting. So find something that you want to look at, you love picking up every day. Right now, I'm scripting with a pink pen because pink brings me joy, and that's just what I'm doing, right? Sometimes that changes. If it doesn't bring you joy anymore, change it. It's okay. So you get something, and what you do, always make sure you're scripting in cursive because that allows it to flow better into the subconscious mind, right? And so what you're doing is you are writing as if something has already happened. All right? So one of the very first thing I start off with in every day is I am grateful for my life and I live fully in the divine flow now. That is my first thing that I say every single time. I am grateful for my life and I live fully in the divine flow now. All right. One other one that I consistently script is I eat clean, amazing, easily and effortlessly now. I eat clean and feel amazing, easily and effortlessly now. And another one that I say all the time is I add value to all relationships and I choose joy daily, ease and grace now. And you see how that just kind of flows because I write it so much that it just kind of comes out, right? And these are things that I want to make sure I'm doing, right? That's the 7-step signature system. Give back is the number 7th step. I add value to all relationships and I choose joy daily with ease and grace now. Right? And so these are things that just happen because I say them so much, right? I am full of health now. Maybe you're into a stressful situation with family or whatever in the holidays. I'm very fortunate. I don't have stress around my family during the holidays. But if that's something that happens with you, you can say, I choose joy and I send love ahead to resolve all discord easily and effortlessly or with ease and grace now. Right? We have a fun, joyful, loving gathering with ease and grace now. That you can script. And find that maybe you're struggling with, right? Maybe you're struggling with eating clean. Make sure you're adding in there, hey, I eat and feel amazing. Or when I eat clean, I feel amazing. Because what that does, that wires your subconscious mind because your body wants to feel amazing, right? You deserve to feel great. And we want to do things that feel good. A lot of the time, the reason we don't follow a plan or maybe we go off plan a little bit is because of one of two things. Okay. It's uncomfortable because maybe we have to say no to something that we might be a little bit addicted to, sugar, alcohol, anything like that. Or we take the easier road and we go for the instant gratification, but future regret, right? But we're putting a Band-Aid on whatever the pain is that we're trying to mask, right? So that's where emotional eating comes in, right? We're masking the pain, we're masking the uncomfortableness with that instant gratification of food, but then that turns into later regret. And so that's why it's important to have that what we think in line and on point, because then you can recognize, hey, where am I feeling uncomfortable? Where am I finding those struggles during the day? What is it that I'm uncomfortable with? And face it, right? And you address it in the scripting, you address it in your mental, your meditation, all of those things, right? Your gratitude practice. You address the uncomfortable situations, right? And then, and I know I'm saying this like it's easy. It's not always easy. It is simple, but it's not always easy. So you have to make the conscious decision to opt in and modify that behavior. However, when you have the tools, it seems a little less daunting sometimes. And when we're scripting continuously, we get into that more positive frame of mind and things start to happen, right? And so that's where it's really important when something is uncomfortable, you have to figure out, okay, now I'm making this choice because it's going to get me out of this uncomfortable situation, right? It's going to temporarily mask how I'm feeling. But then, excuse me, we remember a little bit down the road, you know what? I do remember how I felt after I, did X, Y, and Z. That's why it's easy for me to say, I don't really care for pizza all that much. Taste, absolutely. But I don't like how it makes me feel after. It makes my hands hurt. It makes my feet hurt. I don't like it. Okay. So that's why, and I have a very strong conviction on that. You can see that coming through, right? And I don't like the way it makes me feel, because what it does is it reminds me of the past, right? Pre-Health Accelerator. And I'm certainly not going back there, right? I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm thriving, right? And so how do you do that? You modify your behavior, you create new habits, okay? And so as you're scripting, be very honest with yourself, okay? Be honest, like, hey, where is it that I struggle? Okay, yep, I'm struggling with staying on my eating plan, because when somebody puts cookies in front of me, it's very hard to say. All right, so then you script, I easily say no thank you to items that are off plan that I didn't plan ahead for, easily and effortlessly now. Right? You see how simple that is? Just scriptically 100% going to happen every single time? No. No, but the more you do it, then you get the reaction, like when people offer me pizza. It's like, no, thank you. I'm good. I appreciate it. Whereas before, I probably wouldn't have been able to say no to that, right? Cupcakes, same thing for me, right? I love cupcakes. And if you've been around a while, you know that's kind of my weakness. So cupcakes do not come into my house, right? They just don't. I modified my environment, not coming in my house. All right. And my birthday was beginning of October, right? And so I was at a celebration one time. It was like the week before my birthday, but I was really set in my goals, and I had 5 weeks of strict cut, like we're not doing anything off plan. And that was something I put in place. So those cupcakes were there, right? And guess how many I ate? Absolutely zero, because my scripting was on point. The what I think was there. And so it was not hard for me to say no thank you to those cupcakes, even though they were pink and had gold sprinkles on them. And if you know me, I love pink and I love gold and I love sprinkles, right? And so they were really pretty, but it was not hard for me to say no thank you to them, right? And so these are the things that constitute huge wins, right? These are wins that we track. But how are you able to do that? When you're scripting, it empowers you to have that backbone to say no, thank you. It empowers you with that confidence to say, hey, no, these are the goals that I'm going after because I'm writing them down every day. I'm seeing them every day. I'm living as this person. And so, especially during the holidays, it becomes so much easier to stay the course, but not feel like you're being deprived, right? Because when we start to say, I can't have this, I can't do that, I'm not doing this, that's when you're just like, oh, you start to feel deprived. And that's not what this is about. This is about feeling empowered and confident in the choices that you're making, right? Doesn't mean you can never have that stuff again. And it doesn't even mean you can't have that stuff right now. It's a matter of how much and how often you want to allow yourself to have those things, but still be able to feel amazing. Because everyone deserves to feel amazing. And so that's where you have to find your threshold of where do I feel amazing? And where does it cross that line to that regret, that later regret, right? You don't deserve to feel regret. Okay. So find that line. And when you're scripting, allow yourself the ability to say no without feeling bad or without feeling deprived, right? The reason you're saying no is because you want to feel amazing. Okay. And so these are the things that when you put that scripting into place, and I will tell you, scripting takes practice. You are not going to be perfect at it, right? Some days you may script 3 or 4 sentences. Some days you may script a whole page, right? But the important thing is you get something on paper so that your subconscious mind is working in your favor to becoming the new version of you that is happy and healthy and thriving through this holiday season. All right. So that's what I want you to work on this week is getting those scripting, practice the scripting, ask questions. If you're not sure exactly how to do it, ask those questions. I script for maybe 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes a day. Okay. But the empowerment that I feel after I do it, I script at nighttime because then it puts me in a really good positive frame of mind when I go to sleep and I wake up in an even more positive frame of mind. Okay. A lot of people script in the morning because it starts their day off great. So whatever works for you, try it different ways. If you haven't scripted before, or if you're halfway new to scripting, try it at different times throughout the day. See what works best for you. But the way I remind myself to script is I put my script, when I make my bed in the morning, I put my scripting journal on the pillow. So I'm picking it up to move it before I lay down. And so I script. Okay. And fun fact, the reason I haven't scripted in about a week is because I haven't been making my bed because I sprained my toe making my bed a little while ago. And so that just is what it is, right? So I've got to get back. I've got to opt in and I've got to say no more, right? I've got to start doing that again because that works really well for me. Okay. So I am super proud of each and every one of you for showing up, especially during this holiday season. I'm proud of each and every one of you for opting in. And I am looking forward to hearing how your scripting goes. Ask questions in the Facebook group. Ask questions if you're in a coaching program already. Use your quick coach texts and calls to ask questions. I'm here for you to support your success. If you are needing to get back in a program, please let me know, and we will see what makes the most sense for you as we close out the new year. And I will see you all back here next Sunday, 7 p.m. And we will talk about a little bit more on the what we do side. We did the what we eat side last week. We did the what we think tonight. So we will get really into the what we do. All right. And we'll probably even have a little what we do physical challenge for the week of Christmas. All right. So just to stay tuned for that. I'm looking forward to seeing each and every one of you have success during this holiday season. So proud of each and every one of you. And I will see you back next Sunday, 7 p.m.